Oh my god, my bong broke. Actually, not really. My blast tube. Nasty looking resin all down in there. All that is just leftover wax resin in there. I'm actually about to pack all this shake up into there. Oh yeah, it's gonna be fun. See all that there? Beautiful, beautiful. So I'm gonna fill this thing up today and I'm gonna blast me some wax. But anyways, I thought I'd bring you guys a video first before I go ahead and start doing that. I also got some brownies I'm going to be making today. These nice little nuggets. But I'm reading through High Times magazine, and I noticed that yesterday I talked about how some congressmen and stuff and some lawmakers are actually trying to get the chief of the DEA fired. Basically, he turned around and called medical marijuana a joke. Well, during a time of legalizing medical marijuana, that's probably not what you want to do. You probably don't want to call it a joke. So after that, basically the response was a bunch of activists and federal lawmakers have petitioned the acting chief to be dismissed from office. Uh, Now, on top of that, come here just this week, a few influential congressmen have also stepped up now to cut the funds of the DEA's marijuana eradication program. So while the DEA's out there using this marijuana eradication program to their benefit so that they can go and, bust down the doors of people like me who enjoy just a nice little smoke every now and then, basically, there are now there are congressmen and groups who are now saying, sorry, DEA, we're going to take your money and we're going to basically shut down your marijuana program. Ooh, so tasty. Basically, as it stands right now, the DEA is currently receiving $18 million a year to eradicate a plant that has now legalized in over half the nation. So while marijuana is legalizing, our government's still paying this agency to eradicate it. Now, I don't know about you, but that sounds kind of useless to eradicate something that's legal. That's like paying the DEA to go and take care of alcohol and eradicate alcohol and destroy alcohol. Hello? Alcohol's legal. Why would you do it? Basically, the group in Congress actually believes that if they were to take $9 million away from the current $18 million, that $9 million would be better spent on programs that help victims for domestic violence and sexual abuse. Honestly, I agree. I mean, you can spend $9 million a lot better than giving it towards a program that is no longer needed. I mean, Drug Enforcement Agency is going to have to take on a whole new lead if we were to completely end a war on drugs. We're not saying get rid of the DEA altogether, just take away some of their funding, change their program around, and make it where they're not trying to get rid of people, they're not trying to bust people, but instead they are more to help people, to educate, stuff like that. As of late, earlier this year, there was several stories about the DEA agents actually going on and having wild orgies with cartel paid hookers. There's stories of some of them trafficking drugs between certain states or between certain countries. There's also reports of the DEA doing several things they should not be doing because they're supposed to be eradicating these things. We're finding out they are actually supporting these things, some of them. While others are trying to do their job, there's others that are playing the background that are saying, you know what, we're making money off of it. This is extra money besides the $18 million the government gives us. So I guess it's okay. If you're already receiving $18 million, why not make a little bit more on the side by selling the drugs you're supposed to be getting rid of? Money. It's all money. Greed and money. Oh, I love that taste. And some recent data has actually shown that the majority of these plants that have been eradicated throughout the years by the DEA's marijuana eradication program, majority of them have just been wild grown hemp plants, meaning they have no high value. They're coming from, just some seeds were happened to be in the right area at the right time, got a little underneath the dirt, and the rain came. That was it. These things just started growing on their own. It happens. Keep in mind, a hemp plant can be grown in some of the most harshest environments compared to some of the other plants around. It is, in fact, a weed. And with most of it being eradicated, just the hemp plant alone, that doesn't include the people who are growing illegal grow operations or actually having real growing ops to smoke. Hemp cannot be smoked to get high. Basically, in the end, we are facing a time where it's time to start cutting the DEA program down and making it what it should be, an enforcement agency, not a whatever they are now. I mean, as of they stand now, they are literally a military agency. I mean, they rank up there with the CIA, the FBI. Look out for the DEA. They'll knock down your door. Remember, the DEA doesn't knock. But in the end, all of this stuff from the DEA leads us into what we have known for decades, the war on drugs. And honestly, the war on drugs, with how long it's been going on for the several decades and all this stuff, we have officials telling us over and over that it's actually to protect our youth. What if I were to tell you there are recent reports to show that the war on drugs has actually sucked our children into a world of addiction and incarceration? That the war on drugs has been worse on our children than actually protecting them like it says it's supposed to. Basically, what happens, we have continued attitudes of discrimination, racism, all, all because marijuana is forced underground. It's forced into the black market where all the other drugs are at. All the bad stuff are at. Crime advocates, cartels, mobs, all that stuff is in the black market underground. And if we force marijuana and force all these other drugs into the other underground, and we basically are busting fathers and young teens with marijuana and giving them criminal sentences, which ruin their entire lives. It really does. It really will ruin a life having a criminal sentence. Ah. Wow, that stuff actually is really good. I'm going to have to pack some more of that one. A non-violent criminal record for possession of marijuana can actually really ruin a family. In the recent numbers, they have actually shown that 83% of arrests are actually just for simple possession, simply because as they were pulled over, this was found in their car. Even seeds. Some states will even bust you for seeds. Roaches. If they find a marijuana roach, they'll bust you for that and pull you over for that. Simple possession. 83% of arrests have been for simple possession. Keep in mind the marijuana eradication program was not intended for simple possession. It was intended to stop growing operations. It was the war on drugs against marijuana was to stop the big stuff. If you stop the big things, it won't trickle down to these possessions because there won't be any of it. So with only 83 of it being just the people who are simply possessing it, 18% are the people who manufacture and sell. So at least still a lot of them out there manufacturing, selling marijuana, giving it to your children, keeping it around their house. These people are in the black market. These people have illegal drugs at their house besides that. Hey, you want to try a little bit of shrooms? How about a little bit of crack cocaine? Keep in mind, that's where drug addiction comes from, is by the fact that we are forced into the underground black market, forced to go to these drug dealer houses where drugs are present to buy our drugs. There is a country that has completely decriminalized all drug use, has sanctioned areas where addicted people can seek counseling, can use clean instruments, and are properly disposed of. They have to bring their own drugs, of course, and you can't buy drugs from these. But heroin addicts can go there and have heroin properly administered by doctors. I mean, that eliminates the use of overdose. That eliminates the HIV from swapping needles and stuff like that. That eliminates a lot of stuff and actually will redirect a lot of different things if we all look into that. Counseling for drug addiction so that people, you don't have to go to just sit in an NA class where everybody uses the same drugs. I mean, everybody has a different reason why they're using these different drugs. Some of the other numbers have shown that 1 in 10 Americans use marijuana. So think about it. For every 10 people you will talk to today, one of them smoke weed. Maybe two. But one of them definitely smokes weed. For every 10 you talk to today, one of those people definitely smoke weed. And if you haven't found that one person, you might be that person. I know I'm usually that one person. But just like alcohol and tobacco, ending the marijuana prohibition altogether would eliminate a great deal of problems that we face nowadays. It would eliminate a lot of the racism that we talk about and face nowadays. It would eliminate a lot of the criminal problems that we face on the streets nowadays. Keep in mind, if you're not busted as a criminal for marijuana possession, you will never become a criminal later on down the road. These people who become criminals because of marijuana became criminals because they literally have no other choice. We have given them no other choice. Marijuana led them that way because we led them that way. You don't learn good traits when you're sitting in prison, when you're sitting in jail. These people aren't going to teach you good things. It's not like they can get a proper education while they're sitting in jail just because, well, sir, that looks like a nug of marijuana. We're going to go ahead and arrest you and give you a few months in jail to think about having this marijuana. Maybe next time you won't have it. Probation after that. But anyways, I'm going to get out of here. That's all the time I have. I got things to do today. Gonna blast me some wax. Maybe after I take a nap. This stuff's hitting me hard. Remember, educate before you medicate. Y'all have a peaceful, positive, and productive day. Coming at you guys.